Ground loot gang, it's here. The attachment video for season 4. And let me tell you, Warzone got a whole lot more dangerous because the ground loot in this season is next level. People have complained for seasons that the ground loot builds make no sense. Why do they have to have weird optics or this or that? Raven has, with many things in Warzone, put it through the sorter, organizer, whatever they're doing over there, and they've popped out meta weapons. We're not talking ground loot meta, I'm talking meta weapons like go to WZRanked, take the top build and put it on the floor for everyone to grab. Well, I think this is what many have clamored for many seasons. I, for one, will be interested to see how this turns out. I quite liked having the randomness and rarity of those diamond in the rough ground loot weapons. That was part of the inspiration for this channel. Well, we'll see. Now every, and I mean every epic and legendary weapon is basically suppressed, so expect to be deleted fast. If you don't find a good weapon from the get-go, nobody needs a loadout to grab a meta weapon now. Maybe they're trying to do this to help newer players who are just jumping in for the first time feel more competitive. Whatever the reason, it's gonna be a sweaty season, gang. There are probably more meta level ground loot weapons in this season than the previous Warzone seasons combined. We're on the road to 300 subs. Let's aim for 125 likes this time around. And please sub if you aren't. Keeps the fuel burning for me to keep making this content. I'm gonna try to get the ground loot tier list out by the middle of this week, so turn on those notifications to know when it drops. So since Raven's gotten super organized, it makes sense now that the ground loot builds are organized now too. There's a general pattern. Uncommon guns add a barrel, and it's usually a top level one at that now. Rare level adds an optic. Epic adds a suppressor. Legendary adds a larger mag. Other attachments are interspersed in between, and this doesn't always hold true, but that's a general guideline that you can go in. If you don't want to memorize what gun has what, that's what you're probably going to find. Every gun in this season has an epic and legendary variant. That's a pattern that's always been the case. As always, let me know in the comments if you find an error or if I've missed a weapon. Try to get this out as fast to you guys as possible, so I'm bound to miss some things. All right, starting with the Milano, it's back as the common SMG. Milano got a general buff, and it now has a much more competitive chest TTK. Still slow fire rate, so if you miss, it's not so forgiving, and there's still the open bolt delay. So it's definitely better than before, but we'll have to see how it plays out in real life. Both the epic and legendary versions are suppressed. The barrel that it got is the task force barrel, which is probably the best barrel for the Milano. So my initial feeling is it's gonna be probably mid B. I think I'm still taking an AK-74U over the Milano, even if it's buff. There are tons of more options. So if you have to use it and you gotta make it work, it'll probably work. You'll probably get the down. It's better than before, but there's just so many good options this season, as you'll see. So that's where I think I'd put it right now. All right, next. So Raven thought it wasn't hot enough with a buffed common Milano. They said, let's put an uncommon Cold War MP5 all over the place with 4 variants in total. Everyone knows how good the TTK is for the Cold War MP5. It's just a matter of controlling that recoil. Both the epic legendary versions are suppressed, but frankly, unsuppressed, suppressed, you're gonna win your one-on-one, all things even, because of that incredible TTK. Basically, in this season, you should never assume you have an advantage, because anytime you turn around a corner, that person could be holding an uncommon MP5. It's gonna be pretty fun to debate. You've picked up like a legendary AK-74U. Are you gonna hold that over an uncommon MP5? If you gotta be suppressed, if you love the AK-74U, maybe you go with that one. But I think a lot of times you're gonna just hold the MP5 because it's just so good TTK wise. The legendary is definitely gonna be S tier. It's got a 40 round drum. The epic, we'll have to see. Not a huge fan of putting low mag capacity guns in S tier, although the MP5 is pretty dominant. But there's just so many good guns this season. So SA tier, that's where it's at. Uncommon's probably gonna be A tier too as well. All right, KSP45 was given a slight extremities buff, but TTK is still really slow unless you're hitting 2 burst shots to the head. I guess it might surprise you once in a while if you have really good aim, or you just hit those 2 bursts on a point blank enemy, maybe against 2-plated enemies, but most part you're gonna drop this for an MP5. That's the reality. So it's probably C tier. Other season would have been higher, but this season, just too many good options. AK-74U, it was kind of like a mid-season hype beast for some YouTubers last season. It's a solid weapon, but the ground loot versions are limited by their mag capacity, only 30. And again, just the whole wide availability of an MP5. I think you just really use this if you really love the AK-74U, or you need to be suppressed. Probably high B tier. Any other season would have been A tier for sure. Bullfrog, it's back. Been nerfed a couple times, so it's not the dominant weapon it was, but still very good, still competitive. For ground loot, it's great because it gets 50 rounds as its base mag, so that's huge. Both versions, Epic and Legendary, are suppressed, come with a great barrel. They're S tier. It was near the top of S tier last season. We'll see if it still can hold up there, but still super good. Definitely a gun that you can hold on, you can skip a loadout with for sure. All right, moving to the ARs. We've got the C58, the new AR in Season 4. According to JGod's latest video, it's got quite slow RPM at 550, but it hits like a truck. It's got a pretty decent chest TTK. Base mag is only 25 rounds, but with the damage profile, that might be more like 40, 45. Some of you might be turned off. The reality is if you miss your shots, both because it's slow firing and it has a small mag, you might have some very disastrous situations. But there's definitely a high potential, high skill threshold here. Rare to legendary versions have a 4x. Would have preferred having an axial 3x because the axial 3x has the T-pose again, which is super money. Was amazing on the ground loot Cold War AK last season. The legendary epic are both stacked for range. In my recoil testing, as you can see, it's got a kind of an SH. It's pretty vertical, kind of like the FARA pre-buff. People hated that recoil. So this might be like a PC only kind of gun. It might be hard for console users, and I'm not sure how far out I'd use it. So we definitely got to play with it, see how it works. There's a lot of good options again. I'm thinking low S, high A for the legendary. If it's controllable, definitely S tier. But they're just some really crazy options, and the handling movement speed with this seems pretty slow. And we'll have to see where we place the epic and rare given the field. All right, next is the QBZ. This gun frankly needs a buff. Yes, it's very recoil friendly. Just TTK is not very good. It's only got 30 rounds. I feel more often than not, you're gonna be not getting the down or kill and just drawing attention to yourself. So this gun's a borderline stay away from me. I think it's bottom of C. I think it's an attention magnet more than anything. A true break in case of emergency only gun. Krig 6, certainly been rising for some people, trying to find the next kilo. Still don't have the greatest TTK. Legendary has 60 rounds, which is really good. Rare to legendary have the 4x. So again, we'll have to see how that 4x, it's a new 4x, they moved the scope again, handles that visual recoil. They should all beam, but just don't get caught up close with it. I think the legendary, I think it's S tier, somewhere. Epic would be A tier for me, and the rare a B tier, and so forth. Groza got a buff. It's up close. Chest TTK is quite competitive now. None of them are suppressed. They only have compensators. Epic and legendary have larger mags. Won't have the mobility of an SMG, but can hold its own face to face. I think A, maybe low A for legendary epic because it's not suppressed. B tier for the rare. The FARA. With the buffed barrels, this thing feels like a beam. I used the legendary, the Plaza security, and thought it was a Krig. That's how well it beamed. I don't really use the Krig, so I wasn't like super familiar with it. I was like, wow, this must be the Krig. It's got the T-pose axial 3x. That's huge. Legendary version, honestly, might be, I wish it had a 60 round, but its beamed with potential is really good. Like feel of a gun, it's like a number one. But I'm wondering if there's some higher mag capacity guns that might be over it. We'll see. I'll have to do my tier list, see how everything shapes out. It's close to perfect, loadout perfect as a ground loot we've had. This thing is just a laser beam. Epic, A tier, held back by the mag. It's so good, I'm like considering switching out the AK, Cold War AK, as my sniper support for the FARA. But I haven't tried the AK out with the new barrels, so we'll see. FFAR. Seems like they're trying to get us back into the FFAR. Just another meta build that they're just tossing out there. Again, held back by mag. The legendary only has 38 rounds. With so many options, the FFAR is kind of stuck in the middle. It's not, none of these versions are scoped. It's not meant to be a long range beamer. It's not super like the most dominant up close. It's kind of stuck in the middle. It's probably like, it's kind of like the XM4 was the last couple seasons, where it's a good option to have, but if you find a better combo, like a super dominant SMG and a long range beamer or sniper rifle, you're gonna switch out to that combo and drop this FFAR. Legendary is probably like high A tier, epic low A, high B. Kind of crazy. Uncommon FFAR 2 seasons ago was A tier, and now we have like much better versions and they're still low A tier, but the floor has been raised in this season. LMGs. The MG82, the new LMG. According to JGod, according to everyone now, this thing is ridiculous. It is meta. It is breaking meta. It is people calling for it to be nerfed. So by the time this video comes out, it might have been nerfed. Hopefully not. It may change the whole rankings and whatnot. But right now, it has literal straight vertical, no horizontal bounds, 100 round starting mag. Negatives are just, handling its LMG. Ground loot versions aren't scoped, so that's gonna kind of cap your ability to hit super long shots. They didn't give it a good barrel, Lancer barrel. I guess you can destroy some vehicles, but this thing is gonna dominate close to mid with that 100 round base mag, with the crazy TTK. It's gonna do work in trios and quads. It is the uncommon LMG, so it's going to be readily available everywhere. It's gonna be a great debate whether you're gonna hold this or a long range beamer, because that kind of makes you too slow. Are you gonna keep this to dominate close to mid and then an SMG? You're gonna have these debates. You're gonna want to figure out what you want to do. But as a uncommon loot, if it's like that's all that's around, grab this, grab the uncommon MP5. That's the no-name brand duo of the season for season 4. Legendary versions are basically silence versions. I mean, given how hype it is right now, they gotta be S tier. I haven't actually used the gun myself, but if this thing shreds like the hype is, S tier. Other versions are at least A tier. Stoner, my ground loot go-to LMG from season 2's back, but unfortunately it came back to be dethroned by the MG82. Saving grace might be it has better recoil control than the MG82, but we'll have to see, because these stoners all have the match grade, which have the buffed recoil control. Rare legendary again have the 4x scope. Ledge gets field agent grip for more control. The legendary could be top 5 depending, S tier top 5 depending on the control with the 4x scope. If it's a beamer, this thing is gonna be ridiculous, the legendary version. Epic version is also gonna be S tier. A tier for the other two because they're not suppressed, but all will be great options. Tac rifles. DMR is the common DMR. Recoil has been buffed. They did not help it by giving a Lancer barrel for the uncommon to legendary versions. Could have been amazing if they gave it the right barrel. It will be limited to mid-range. The rare to legendary do have the axial 3x, which I really like. So it's gonna be interesting to see just in general how the DMR fits in the meta. I think it might be sneaky good. People are going to be trying to beaming with the ARs. They're going to be fighting sniper rifles, and you might sneak in with the DMR and just pick off everyone. I'm going to say high A for the legendary epic. It's just they didn't give it enough long range potential. And the rare low A, high B. The others C because they don't have a scope. But yeah, I'm going to try out the DMR this season and see where it's going to be. AUG has seen better days, but again, another gun that Raven wants you to relive those glory days. They put in a meta build AUG to remind you of the gun you loved. Wish they would do that for the M82. Buff that fire rate so I can feel those glory days again. But it's got the fire rate barrel, titanium. It's got the suppressed axial 3x serpent wrap. The ledge adds a control grip, field agent grip. So if you ran the AUG and you love the AUG, you're gonna be right back at home. But with all these Cold War laser beams now, will you survive? I don't know. I'm not a burst weapon fan, so for me, I think it's gonna be high B. For some of you who like burst, could see it's being higher. Carvey 2, low-key last season, had some moments. 54 rounds on the rare version was nice, especially early rounds. This season, neither come with a big mag, but 30 round on burst weapon should be fine, but none of them are suppressed. There's just gonna be better options. It's not gonna dominate in any range. This is a low B, high C, probably C gun. Just too many other guns to pick. Sniper rifles. Let's talk. The single category that got the most fire lit underneath it is the sniper rifles. All the sniper rifles have combat recon barrel. Let me repeat that. They all have combat recon barrels. All have suppressors except one. Gone are the days when if we had one sniper rifle with a suppressor with a halfway decent barrel, that would have been S tier in a previous Warzone season. This season, we have 7 sniper rifles that would be S tier in another season. We start off with a ZRG. We have a ground load gun that can hit a 500 meter shot. The legendary is basically a meta as ZRG minus the tape, which I'm actually not sure which type of tape it is. It could be the serpent wrap for all we know. And you'd have the precise topped WZRanked meta ZRG loadout. Legendary epic versions, definite S tier, rare, which is not suppressed, A tier, and we're just getting started. Tundra. So the ZRG is not your thing. Let's try the next best sniper rifle with bullet velocity, the Tundra. I guess we're gonna have to forgive Raven for giving us a sound moderator and not a wrap suppressor. So the bullet velocity is gonna be a little less. But again, another near meta build. S tier, legendary epic. It's just, I can't see how you don't put a maxed out bullet velocity suppressed sniper in S tier. I'll take a look when I do my tier ranking. It might be super swamped in S tier. I might have to bring some guns down, but for now, I think it's S tier. And last but not least, my primary sniper of late, the Swiss. And yes, did someone ask for a meta build floor loot? Let's go. Epic is basically my loadout gun. I use the airborne instead of serpent wrap, and I use a 4X Royal and Cross. This one has the base scope, which is great. It's one of the best base scopes. The legendary has even better stability than my loadout build. It's got the bruiser grip, which has now got an aim stability buff. Easy S tier, probably top 5 for me, considering it's my sniper, go-to sniper. But again, this whole like laser beam Cold War meta could change everything. We may not be sniping anymore. We may be just all trying to beam each other. Pistols. Diamatti returns to get kicked in the pants. Some of you were like, this gun's like S tier in previous seasons. I was never like that. Pistols, I think it's harder on PC. Console users, I can see this gun was really good. Just in this ground loot pool, running around with a Diamatti, I think is going to be a bit dangerous because there's just so many good guns. None are suppressed as well. I think it's D. I think there's just too many good guns. In other seasons, B tier, but in this season, I think it's top of D. I don't think it even makes C. 1911, well, the epic legendary is suppressed. The legendary has 12 rounds. They're all D. I mean, they don't even have the proper, like a good mag capacity like last season. They're all pretty low capacity except the legendary one. So it's only like you drop with the base pistol, you pick up this pistol, and then you drop it when you find something else. Shotguns. The polar opposite of the sniper rifle. Shotguns, a category that have been traditionally strong for ground loot. I remember the glory days of the Origins, the Gallows. We had the Street Sweeper, Hailstorm at the beginning of last season. This season, we have the Hauer, and that is it. Clearly, Raven is pushing shotguns into the dirt. Poor Algumtaf, the shotgun YouTuber. The Hauer has been the base shotgun for 4 straight seasons, and Raven doesn't even want to play around. They don't want to make the Gallo the common loot, so we have more Hauers. None of them even have more than 5 rounds. The Hauer is low C, high D. You just hold on to it till you can get something. The usual suspects, Sigma 2, RPG, Thumper are in. The combat bow kill streak is apparently in loot boxes, so watch out for them explosive arrows, as if we didn't have enough to worry about in this season. Well, gang, that's it. This is gonna make for some tier lists. So many viable weapons, so many high-end suppressed weapons. Tier list this week, so stay tuned. See you guys then.
How'd they blow you up?
Oh, baby! Oh, crap.